We should be indoors, but Jesus, it's so busy in there today. I thought we won't hear a word we're saying, so I thought we'll be big men and we'll go out into the rain and have a quick chat.
We'll get drenched here, you know, in Greystones. So.
I'm thinking now, before we get into the Greystones Archaeological and Historical Society, you pretty much from an early age knew this is your obsession. I know you studied commerce, but even at the time you thought, I'd like to be an art student, and therefore naturally your next step was to actually go back and do a master's at UCD in history. Was it a family thing? Was it just yourself? Where did this come from?
Well, probably my dad. No, our house was he was a farmer, but he was reading all the time. He was he's kind of known as an intellectual farmer.
Right.
He was. People used to joke that he used to be reading a book while driving the tractor. So our family was full of books. He was brilliant at quizzes. So he won a Brain of Ireland. He won Where in the World outright. You know, he won loads of quizzes. So he was always imbued with the love of education. Our family and me definitely this love of history comes particularly from my dad.
He must have been chuffed then when you took the steps in this direction, you know.
Because he died unfortunately in '96.
Sorry to hear. Right. Okay.
So I was doing commerce at the time, so no, he wasn't alive for any of my.
He's happy now, just so you know. I'm sure he's well chuffed.
Hopefully he is, yeah.
So when it came to stepping into this world more and more, you published your first book, GAA versus Douglas Hyde. Was there a sort of a sense in your mind that this was going to be a vocation almost? Was it work at the beginning? I don't know when was the line crossed over.
So I've been working in the recruitment industry and IT consulting industries since '98, but history is my passion. So the reason why I went back to the masters was to see could I carve out a career in history.
Right.
Because I've always loved history, and I think you should follow your passions. So I went back, did a master's, wrote the first book, GA versus Douglas Hyde.
That was based on your thesis, wasn't it?
Based on my master's thesis, yeah. Dermot Ferreter was my tutor for the thesis. And then I started doing my PhD, and I wrote my second book in 2015, The Irish Soccer Split. And then I got my first job in history with Dublin City Council.
That was a big one. I'm sure that must have felt. Well, now this is what I do for a living. This is my life now. Because
I still have to do the recruitment industry because it's because it was only 20 hours a week. You still have to keep the wolves away from the door. so history it can be quite hard to be paying. And say if I was to go down the avenue of going into academia, you're starting off from basically from the base, basically the bottom, and it's very difficult to get roles in that capacity. So the Dublin City Council job allowed me, because I had my own business at that stage in recruitment, it allowed me to do 20 hours a week in history plus look after my business as well. But since last year I've decided to move completely away from recruitment, and I've set up a history consultancy business.
History Link. Yes.
And that's going I had a brilliant first year. I'm writing books, almost finished books for Keeling's Fruit. They're 100 years old this year. Highfield Healthcare, they're based up Swords Road. They're 200 years old this year. So books are almost completed for them.
Fantastic.
And a booklet for IPB insurance, as well as a couple of other projects. And last year I published a book on lemon sweets as well.
Well, that's it. See, people I think assume history is literally having to go back to our origins and back to the Rising and all that. But history obviously is part of everyday life. So whether it's sweets or whatever it might be, that this forms a part of our national identity and that history. I'm always amazed that when people say lessons from history, I'm just amazed at how much that mankind tends to make the same mistakes again and again. I know I'm going slightly off the path here, but is that something as you look through, just the idea that we do repeat ourselves when it comes to stupid mistakes or bad management or bad policies or often decisions, big decisions, whether it's governmental or business, are often made by a clash of personalities, by poor decision making, laziness, and ego takes a big part. You see that with Trump. It's nearly all ego.
Of course, it is all ego with Trump. And that's not new. So I think history is important because it does remind us of what has happened in the past, and our best guide to what's going to happen in the future is what's happened in the past.
And is that something that I don't know if you actively seek out? Like I was at your talk on Wednesday, it was terrific that Herzog, just this idea that someone so pivotal to Irish history, especially at a time when his son, he's had a park named after him, and there was controversy about trying to rename the park. Those ideas that we need to recognise, this is our real history. This is what this is where we come from, and the idea that we kind of just suddenly have this, anti-Semitism or anything that goes on in the world that we forget just what came before. Yeah, it's so crucial.
Yeah, I think we have to remember all parts of our history, whether we want to or not.
Right.
You know, and all the complexity of our history, and the different dynamics that are at play at different times, the different types of groups, different religions, different personalities. We can't just focus on people we admire or like.
Right.
We always have to look at all the complexities of history. And it's a historian's job not to sugarcoat or cherry pick the bits that they like. It's important we look at all of the kind of aspects of certain eras, certain events.
Like even the Beatles made occasionally bad songs. It happens very, very occasionally. Yeah. So when it comes to joining the Greystones Archaeological and Historical Society, the great Jim Smith, wonderful man,
yeah, very
big
sad,
part of the town,
very sad.
passed away in 2024. The sense of taking over, I don't know if that was just a very natural fit, given that you lived here now, or whether you thought twice about it. I'm sure it was a
Well, I've only moved to Greystones in 2020. I literally moved in February 2020 when a certain virus was beginning to rear its head.
That was the Spanish flu, I think. Yeah,
Spanish flu is back. Yeah, over 100 years later.
Yeah.
I've actually given a talk on the Spanish flu, and there's a lot of similarities between what happened at the time in Spanish flu in Ireland to what happened during COVID. But so I was always going to get involved in the history society here. Once I moved here, because this is my permanent home now.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do much, obviously, for the first couple of years with COVID.
Sure.
So it's only once things started to ease up a bit, I started to go to meetings, and I had a great bunch of people. There's loads of great events, loads of great talks happening. And Jim Smith was a great chair. He was always so welcoming and warm. And it was, and he actually asked me in November. I gave the last talk before he died on Frank O'Connor, short story writer. And he asked me, would I like to be on the committee? And I said I would. I'm very happy to be on the committee. And it's just shocking when I heard the news that he died, literally weeks later. So a couple of people approached me within the committee and asked, would I consider going for chairperson? So I said I would, and was elected in last March in the AGM.
Now, Greystones has a good history when it comes to history, largely due to the Paynes, did a wonderful work with their books, just getting the local history together. I don't know if and there are quite a good bunch of people who are basically historians, people like Rosemary Rotter, who just keep looking back and finding...
There's great journals, there was the History Society used to do a journal every year, and that's something we could definitely look at again. The Latouche Legacy, obviously, is a wonderful annual event
every year.
And the History Society is very centrally involved in that. So look, there's great local history, there's great local historians.
I recognise the dog. Do I know you?
We're just doing an interview. How are you?
You want my comments about the
Oh no, not the one. We better keep it clean. We better keep it clean.
I'm all for opening that bloody cliff walk.
I need a filter to convert all the swear words. Words are acceptable. You know what? My one quote. We need a group that's got the can-do attitude.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's what we need. See you later, Barry. That's a natural thing now, doing the interviews out in the open.
Of course.
Barry's amazing. Now, my question was kind of leading up to: do you think there's a young generation engaged with history? I don't know if internet has helped them do that, or whether they've distracted by.
Yeah, like I've given loads of talks to a lot of young people. Actually, I was invited by the Irish Embassy in Berlin to give a talk on one of my last books was The Root of All Evil, the Irish Boundary Commission, and it was the 100th anniversary of its collapse last year. And I was invited to the Irish Embassy in Berlin, and a great event. There was about 80 people there. Most of them were below 30.
Right.
And most of them not from Ireland either, from obviously Berlin and surrounding regions who have all their issues of borders too. And so there definitely is a healthy interest in history. Irish people, I think, overall are very interested in history. They're very knowledgeable of history. If you were at a talk I gave on Wednesday, if you don't know your subject matter, you'll be soon found wanting and found out very quickly with Irish audiences. We'd obviously want to get more young people involved, people from all generations. But I've given talks where there's a lot of young people, or aren't as many young people. So I think there definitely is there's an opportunity there to expand. People can give talks, they can get involved in the committee, they can just come along just to listen to the talks, or go to outings that we have, and it's definitely not just for people of older vintage.
Sure. Well, history is here to stay, so I don't think it's...
And Greystones is growing. There's a whole new kind of, like myself, a new type of person moving into Greystones. It's expanding, it's evolving. A lot of people from Dublin, or like I'm originally from Laois. I'm sure there are a few Laois people here as well. But many people from Dublin in particular live in Greystones now. So we're open to not just local history, but national and international history as well.
I should wrap up by asking, just given your kind of immerse yourself in the world of history, and there's so much to be learned from it.
Yeah.
Are you very wise now, or is that still?
No, not at all. What did Nelson Mandela said? You know, I'm learning every day. You know, the day I stop learning is the day I die. You know, so
that's the way.
Absolutely not wise at all.
Well, I'll do it.
But one thing I will say though, you know, learning history as a discipline and doing a PhD in history and writing a number of books is that you do look at sources very carefully and you scrutinise them, you know, very effectively. Which is very badly needed, I think, in this day of social media and a lot of bad news and downright lies out there at the moment. So I think one thing as an historian, you learn that discipline of checking sources and making sure that the information you have access to, like most information is biased, most news sources are biased. But if as long as you're aware of that and you're accepting of that, I think you've got a better chance of getting the real and true evidence. Again and
again, truth wins out. I mean, whatever about the propaganda at the time. There's always a sense that given time, people find a lot more information available to them, and they can make a new kind of, you know, basically.
I do agree with you, but I do find at the moment it's very disheartening because it seems that people who lie and who
have the upper hand,
are ignoramuses and completely ignore kind of knowledge. And
you're talking about Trump again, aren't you?
But I'm not just talking about Trump, but I'm talking about what he's done when he got elected in 2016. Like it kind of emboldened a lot of other people like him to lie, to govern the way he governs, and total disrespect for authority, for laws, for knowledge, for people. And that's the age we live in at the moment. So it is a very worrying time, and it does remind me of 1930s Europe.
It's ironic that he would be the one who's harping on about fake news when his method seems to be, if you say it loud enough, it's true.
Do you know how you know he's lying? His lips are moving.
Yay!